Hi everyone, it's BDevine. Now, I hope that you're doing awesome wherever you are. There may be some things that you're really shifting out of your body today. I say that because that's exactly what started happening to me during the night, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? There must be some people out there that are doing this work, that are really shifting into their sovereignty more and more and more, and therefore what is unnecessary starts to leave. When you have excess fluid in your body, it will eventually start to break down, right? Or if you've had something that did not agree with your clean system, okay, it will push its way out. One good way to do that is with a piece of blue calcite, or in fact any calcite. It's very, very good at helping you to restore. Okay, so I've got a hold of this. But today there's an interesting thing also astrologically. So the challenging energies is it's a Leo moon today, right? But there are several planets that are retrograding right now. So we have a Leo moon, and then we have Mercury, the planet of communication and mental health. We have Jupiter, the planet of abundance and expansion. We have Saturn, the Time Lord. Okay, the energy here of things that take time, teeth, structure, bones, also things that have been pushing at you or feeling like it's blocking you, lessons. Then we have Uranus, which is sudden things that occur or sudden releases as well. Then we have Neptune, which can disorient. So Neptune can make you feel like you're just in outer space a little bit. And of course, Pluto is in retrograde as well. So things are very much internalized when that's the case, and it's all sort of pushing at us. There's also a triple conjunction with the Sun, Mars, and Venus. So this amplifies a lot of your personal drive, charm, but potential conflicts can come up as well, right? Which may require you to adapt in a different way. So be aware, just be aware you're listening to the signal. So 3 things that you might want to listen to is the signal, your body, what sensation are present, what sensations are you feeling somatically, picking up from other people, emotionally, worldwide, all of these things. The signal, what is your system noticing? What is your system noticing? And the story, what meaning are you attracting? What meaning are you attracting? Okay. I am going to create a course that is based upon the usual psychic abilities, and now how we can bring ourselves into an even more powerful state. And one thing about this is learning how to question yourself in a different way rather than outsourcing yourself everywhere else. And also how you can start to receive signals about what's going on, what's coming in the timeline, things where you're all over the place, or things where you feel really centered and calm. So today's video is about signs, psychology, and the sovereign response. And this is picking up information surrounding people in your circle or online or whatever, right? So what is in the air today? I explained a little bit about the astrological things that are going on. When there's a lot of planets retrograding, it is really forcing this inner communication, how you're seeing things, how you're receiving things, how you're interacting with others, whether something is blowing itself out of proportion, something is becoming a source of your overthinking or whatever it is. So today is about clean pressure. The pressure shows you two things at once, where you're still negotiating your worth and who benefits from you being unsure. You may notice more social weirdness right now, subtle distance, micro avoidance, support that feels off. So today we're going to do this in a mature way, of course, as always. Psychological changes required for our true sovereignty and our flame era, right? Flame mysticism. So I'm thinking of spirituality as the old term, and I'm thinking of mysticism more as encompassing a lot of things at once, right? So I'm going to start using that word a little bit more as well. Now, so the psychological changes that happen, how your nervous system upgrades. This is the key to your intuition, the key to your abilities, the key to reading patterns, the key for detection, the key for understanding, the key for a clear signal to you, right, is going to be the nervous system and breathing techniques that we do. This resets your entire body to stop reacting in a flight or fight or a survival mode or a defensive mode, okay, into a mode of receiving. That's as simple as I can make the explanation. Because once you start being in a much more calm state, right, and you're teaching your nervous system to respond this way, instead of teaching your nervous system to respond outlandishly, overthinking something, stressing out about something, okay, that your nervous system learns to respond calmly. And what happens when you're in a calm state? You start to receive signals, messages, insights, feelings. This is why people spend 8 hours a day in meditation. Medication for some people. I was going to say medication. But they are heavily meditated. No. Okay, so they're in that for the reason to receive. Okay. What if the way in which you receive, it's not so much going into Om Shantis for 8 hours, but instead regulating your nervous system to be that signal to receive when you're asking for it, not when you're not, but to be able to go into that at will. This is what we're doing. So I also want to tell you about sudden dislikes, people who secretly might not jive with you, they don't like you. Okay, I know that is a bold sentence, but we really do need to start using our discernment and understanding what this actually is when someone doesn't like you. Okay. So true sovereignty isn't just being suspicious, right? It's not about being suspicious. It's discernment with peace. Okay. Flame sovereignty is nervous system leadership. So let's do this. Flame sovereignty is the capacity to stay coherent under pressure. Not reactive, not collapsing, spinning out, looping, performing, wishing, outsourcing, asking questions, rapidly reading cards. Psychologically, sovereignty means that you can tolerate discomfort without abandoning yourself. You can set a boundary without needing anybody's approval. You can handle someone's disappointment without betraying yourself. Feeling bad for somebody else's reaction to you. You can also see social signals without spiraling into like, what did I do wrong? Somebody doesn't like me. I need to improve something. Bad. Okay, that becomes a whole nother big drama that could play itself out for a long time, because you don't want to be misjudged. Therefore, you'll stay in the wrong position for a long time and aligned with the wrong people. So a lot of spiritual people confuse sensitivity with wisdom. Sensitivity without regulation becomes anxiety. Okay? Wisdom is sensibility plus stability. We are rebuilding our strengths. This is something that is the core of who we are as humans, is that we are actually literally strong. And we've been always told and shattered from, if you think about it, you've been told since you were young by either your parents or your teachers or classes you went to or whatever, that you have to earn your way to stronger possibilities for yourself, earn your way to strength, earn your way to the top, earn your way, earn your way, earn your way, show up, do, right? You're told your whole life that the only way you're going to get a break is when you are old enough to legally retire, and then you can stop all the performance and, you know, continually having to go up and up and up and up through someone else's lens. What a life that is. Okay, so we've been taught to shrink ourselves in order to fit into society, or having to learn more in order to be able to have or gain something. So this is not coming from you saying to yourself, I already have all of this within me, I'm just going to follow through with my instincts for the rest of my life. No, we fall into, you got to work, you got to pay your bills, you've got to do this for now, and then when you're older you can relax, right? Unless you're really wealthy. If you're really wealthy, you don't have to worry about holidays or having enough money for Christmas or treatments or anything that you need, right? But you still may have an expectation built within yourself of doing even more. And maybe if you inherited money, for example, you may feel the pressure of having to do more than what your parents ever did or the family ever did or whatever. And some people can't do it. So wisdom is sensibility plus stability. Otherwise, it turns into anxiety. We're also building with the flame era strength, okay, that we already have inbuilt within us. We're bringing that back to the surface. So nobody can make you feel less than ever again unless you let them, okay? Which means that opportunities for different types of work, opportunities for growth, opportunities for creativity, opportunities for your skills that you love become the new norm, rather than doing something you hate in order to have a means to an end, right? Because naturally, if you start listening to your signals by releasing all of the defense mechanisms you have, start listening to the signals, you'll be at the right place at the right time every time. You'll always know what to do. There will be no stressing or worrying, okay? So, the 5 psychological upgrades. The first one is the reassurance, the seeking, and the self-trust. The old pattern is, do you like me? Are we good? Right? The sovereign pattern is, I trust what I'm seeing. I don't need to beg for clarity. You lose that sense of having to be liked. It's a different feeling. You're not purposely trying to upset anybody either. You're not trying to pick a fight, but you're also not putting up with anything false. And it feels good. You feel regulated. You feel strong. That has got to be better than being worried whether somebody likes you or not. That is killing your confidence. Okay. The second upgrade is from people pleasing to standards. So the old pattern is smoothing, over-giving, over-explaining, not wanting to upset the apple cart, right? But the pattern is, this is the container, the new pattern. This is the container. This is the boundary. This is the standard. This is what I'm doing. Right? And regardless of what Tom, Dick, or Harry thinks about what you're doing, whether they think you're cuckoo or not, the proof is in the pudding. The pudding is a strong, stable, very confident person that has the ability, right, to just about deal with absolutely any situation. Doesn't matter what it is. And this person, all they have is a finger pointing at you, while they have all the others pointing at themselves. You're doing something wrong because you're stable and strong. Oh, you're not even confused. Oh, well, how can I try to discombobulate you? When you become very strong with this work, nothing can discombobulate you anymore because you're just not interested in giving your power away at all, right? This work becomes the new standard. It has to, because the old ways were not teaching anybody on a larger scale, okay? There were individual people that were definitely trying to help you. So please just listen to the deeper message. What I'm saying is that on the whole of spirituality, on the whole, it was all about things that were keeping you unable to regulate. Things that were keeping you looking for more, okay? Meaning you weren't given tools to help you to stabilize, okay? Because if people were given the tools to help them to stabilize, they wouldn't be going back to the same person all of the time, or, you know, looking at pop-up things all of the time, all of the time, all of the time, all of the time. So you need to be able to learn things. You need to be able to strengthen. And you also need to know how to bring yourself back to center when you're starting to go haywire. Okay? All right. So upgrade number 3 that comes in. From mind reading, right, to pattern reading. Okay? So the whole psychic stuff. I am going to teach a course. I have to teach a course on it because I've got too much information to teach you. But the ways and the structure of how to do this, I will give you examples though, and then you can practice those. But still, from mind reading to pattern reading. The old pattern was trying to guess what someone's thinking or feels or what the future might be. And the sovereign pattern is tracking behavior or your own behavior over time, okay? You start to understand the patterns of things. When this happens, this happens. When that happens, this happens, right? The fourth upgrade, from emotional fusion to emotional boundaries. So the old pattern, someone's mood becomes your problem. You're affected by someone's mood. The sovereign pattern, I can care, I can be aware, but I'm not taking it on. I'm not absorbing any of this. If someone's spinning out, oh, okay, yikes. Someone's spinning out though. It's got nothing to do with you. It's got nothing to do with me. Hold a stable space. Continue that way. And it shouldn't, if you're like in combat with someone, for example, and you're staying stable, if they continue to accelerate while you're staying stable, it tells you everything. Stable, it tells you everything. Okay, if they calm when you're calm and they start mirroring you a little bit more like that, then they're looking for help. The other way, they're just looking to control through fear. So, understand this. Upgrade 5, from intensity to repetition. Old pattern, burst of power, then collapse. Got heaps of energy, then none. Okay. The sovereign pattern is consistent, easy actions, consistent boundaries, and a consistent message. Okay. Continue with the message. Start here, move to here, go to there. When this is happening, do this, and do this. A structure, a simple structure, right? And the whole idea is it's not about you fixing someone else through this. This is mainly about you putting the oxygen mask on yourself first. You must be able to fix you, or you're not going to make any sense to anyone else. So forget all of that right now and do this, okay? So consistent actions, consistent boundaries, consistent message. It's always who you are, how you show up, what you say. Now, quick regulation. Okay, so inhale for 4, exhale for 8. When you exhale longer, okay, you are pushing your body into relaxation. You are pushing your nervous system into regulate mode, not overstimulate mode, over anxiety mode, overthinking mode, outsourcing mode. No, we are stable and centered. Breathe in for 4. Now we're going to double it out for 8. Always make the exhale longer than the inhale in order for you to feel the benefits quickly. Okay, I return to center. I return to truth. It's 11:11. Okay. All right. This matters because if you're dysregulated, you will interrupt the natural neutral signals as threats. You will interpret natural neutral signals as a threat if you do not regulate your nervous system. Okay. Now we're getting into something, okay, that you just need to understand on a broader level. And this is about someone who secretly dislikes you, what that usually is, okay? It's not evil per se. I'm not saying there are not people who are literally just really evil, but let me just say, the first one is it's envy. Your clarity highlights where they are stagnated. Your abilities show how far they have to go, right? The way you look might be something that they are aspiring to and don't feel that they can get to. How you hold yourself feels like you might be lucky. What abilities and information you have, people will see that as something that you're gifted with and they are not. So envy starts coming into play when someone does not like you. The insecurity starts happening because your standards threaten their success and their access. If someone cannot make you pissed off, okay, it's no more, it's just not any fun, right? So they're like making themselves feel inferior, insecure. Your standards are threatening their access. Good. Okay. Competition. They start to measure themselves through comparison, telling themselves how much better they are than you are. Or maybe they even start dressing like you or sounding like you or whatever it is, right? They measure themselves through comparison. This is someone who secretly doesn't like you. There's deeper methods here, but I'm trying to give a broad overall look. The other thing when they don't like you is that they project. They assign their feelings to you. For example, they'll say, you make me feel like crap. The truth is they already feel like crap. And because you're doing well, that's that energy of comparison comes in, right? And they're like, well, they're doing well, so now I'm just going to have to make them feel like crap because that's how I feel, right? Okay, control loss. You actually stopped being easily managed. So none of these things require you to go out and attack everybody, but you can tighten your access. So when someone is also dislikes you, you know, that they will say what they wanted to say, but they will create an argument in order to say it. Just listen when that's happening. Okay, so here's some more detailed things. So you need to, it's not just one sign though. So, okay, so here's a dangerous one. Okay, there is a thing going on, and it had been going on TikTok to say, and it's a dangerous one, okay? And it's talking about when your partner, male or female, when they secretly hate you, okay? And it's talking about things that they say when they're angry is how they actually really feel, okay? In my experience, it has to be a grouping of events. Yes, people tend to tell the truth, but there could be extenuating circumstances surrounding the reasoning, because grief can make you do things and say things that you just can't even imagine. Like once you calm down, right? You can't imagine you even said any of those things. Okay, so there are things that are true about that statement, but there are things that have to go with it, as far as I've seen, as to know exactly why someone may be behaving in a certain way, okay, and other things that are other factors that are contributing to that. So we look for clusters of things as a better way to gauge whether somebody doesn't like you, okay? So, for example, support that contains some poison in there, and it might be something that complements that include a correction, like, I love this, but maybe you should just wear, I don't know, something different on your lips or something, right? Or praise that redirects attention back to them. Oh, I love your outfit. You know, I've got an outfit and my shoes are just this chrome silver. Do you want to see them? I would love to see some chrome silver shoes, actually. Okay. The other thing might be something like, I'm happy for you, and then there's a quick subject change. Or I've heard people say, yep. When I say right, or that means etc., right? So they'll say something to me at the beginning of a conversation, which is a standard courtesy. And, you know, you're about to say what you want to say, or you're going to reply, and you're cut off, and it's right back to them. So, oh, Happy New Year, back on to whatever they're saying. And it's like, okay, they're cutting you off. There's a small poison in there. So they can't celebrate anything without managing. It has to be but look at me. Or you've done this, but me. You're doing that, but me. Right? It constantly goes back to the self, to the other person. And these are clusters of behavior. So as I said to you, it's never going to be just one thing. Someone could be really having a bad day, or is dealing with grief or other problems in their own life, and they haven't learnt to regulate, okay? The true sign of someone who might say some horrendous things or whatever, But a true sign of someone who loves you or really likes you is that they're willing to work on this, right? If they're not willing to work on any of that, if they're not willing to grow, if they're not willing to look at things, if they're not willing to change in any way or work on the things that have caused the problems in the first place, they don't care about anyone but themselves. So again, sign B, withholding behaviors, right? Quiet punishment. So when you're doing well in your life, these people are nowhere to be seen. They are only around when everything for you is going to crap. They are nowhere around. They do not comment, like, or text you or congratulate you. Nothing. They go silent when you're winning. They forget invites, times, details, but only with you. They don't forget it with everything else that they're doing. So sometimes, again, there can be alternative explanations like an overwhelm, personal stress, depression, okay, life problems, right? This is why it has to be in clusters if somebody doesn't like you. I always say that you always know anyway, right? But you don't chase these things. Like say, oh, I've been putting out posts and nobody likes it. Why would you do that? Why would you fish then for people to say something, right? So when we're centered and we're calm, we really don't care whether how many likes, how many whatever's going on. It doesn't really matter, right? But we do notice the people that when you're going through it or you're sharing positive news or whatever it is, that they just are silent. And I'm not talking about missing it. I'm just talking about it happens time and again. But if something happens with them, you're always there, okay? Sign C, this is another cluster of things, okay? And this is a status game. So they are micro undermining you. There's subtle sarcasm, jokes that make you smaller, like belittling you in front of other people, making fun out of you in front of others, correcting you in front of others. Whew. I know someone comes to mind. Oh my God. Straight away, my husband's going to laugh when he sees this. Anyway, acting like they know better without even being asked, right? They just have that smug attitude. So they're trying to regain their rank by belittling, making sarcastic jokes, the correcting you in front of other people. These are signs of undermining you. And also, or they're doing it like maybe they're doing it to their husband or their wife or something in front of you, and it's all really uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable when that starts happening, right? They are trying to regain rank. They feel less than with that person or with you. You haven't even done anything. That's just how they feel. Again, all of these things can be shifted and regulated so that we're all strong. Just unfortunately, not everybody's going to want to do it, learn, look, be a part of it. So these are just things to help you to understand. The next sign or the next cluster of things. They extract information, or they try to. They want access, not closeness. They want you to be pulled to be in service, to help, okay? They might ask questions that feel like data collection, just constantly asking you questions. They might pry about money or plans or clients or relationships. They're prying into these things. They disappear, completely ghost when they get what they want. So the thing that you need to know about this is that access is something that someone earns with you. It's not just given freely. And information is sacred. So, you know, can you imagine if everybody was coming at you every single day in your email because, I don't know, you lost weight or something? So everybody, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people were pestering you every single day for information on how you did something, okay? One person, it wouldn't be so bad. But can you imagine if it just kept on going on and you kept on giving, and to the point where you're like, okay, I might as well just write up something about this and then I can just post it out, right? Those people just want what you can give away. They don't want to do anything about it anyway. They just know who you are, right? And that you're a giving person, and they use it. Okay, believe me when I tell you this. Okay, start understanding that access to you is earned and information is sacred. So the next thing, this is a big tell if someone doesn't like you. Boundary resistance. They react very strongly to simple boundaries, can't take it. Okay, they guilt or they sulk or they misunderstand what you're saying repeatedly. Okay, they punish you for saying no. And the sovereign energy here is that they don't want to lose control over you, and they hate it. They cannot push your buttons and they can't stand it. That's why sometimes giving someone no answer is better than defending yourself. You know, just being on social media for so long, you kind of get used to just deleting stuff. And you could sit there and defend yourself, but they've won if you do that. You're giving your power away to that person. Take the win that these people are spending so much time trying to get your information or get past your boundaries, that it's driving them crazy when you say no, and let them do whatever they're doing. Okay? They don't want to lose control over you. You're not going to be managed by anybody. Okay? You're managing yourself. All right, the next one, inconsistent warmth. So when they're with you, they're great, but in public, they're cold. They're supportive when you're struggling because they want to see you less than they are, okay? But they're distant when you are thriving, when you're doing really well. Again, we already sort of talked about this. So they like it when you're safe to their ego, right? Okay. And these are clusters of things. Remember, it's never any one of these things alone. The next thing, triangulation. They will check on you through others. I just got a message from such and such, and she just wanted to know, how are you? What's happening? Well, then they can come and ask you then. You know, what's all this third party stuff? They relay indirect comments. They create confusion instead of direct conversation. So mature people will talk to you, not about you, and try to get everyone else to find out information. So there's a emotional immaturity there. There's also a lack of respect for you when something's going on like that. Also. So don't accuse anyone without any evidence, or create something that you can't verify, or interrogate people, right, at all, or spiral, or stalk, or check, or test. It's not about this. That's not discernment. Discernment, that ends up being anxiety, right? Sovereignty is calm observation, clean boundaries, and reduced access. End of story. And it is hard. the first time you have to shut something off, it's hard. Like, you know, ooh, because the old you wants to just smooth everything over and have no conflict, you know, problems, but that only creates more bigger problems for you. Like my son, he always is like, you know, he wants to finish something with someone, and instead of just finishing something with someone, he'll try to make them understand or try to make them be okay with him before he does, you know, because he doesn't want that conflict. But he's losing power every time he does it, and he has to deal with a bigger problem at the end of the day. Right? If you don't say now, no, it's going to be a big no later, right? No, don't say no now, it's a big no. Okay. So, the 6-step protocol. All right, so I think they would have really loved me at school, wouldn't they? Okay, right, ready, here we go. So we regulate first. If you're activated, okay, and all, you know, you can't see clearly, never respond when you're annoyed. Don't, okay? It won't come out how you want it to come out anyway. Track the patterns, not the moments. Okay, the patterns are the big thing. So if you are, you know, I don't even know why you would want to do this, but in some cases you could actually write down behavior over 2 to 4 weeks of interacting with someone. And you'll start to see a pattern developing if you wanted to. I mean, some of you live with people who may not like you, or family members or whatever. A lot of jealousy, rivalries, all that sort of stuff. But you can start tracking things as long as you're coming from a regulated space. Reduce a lot of your access, so less personal sharing, less availability, less always being the one to put your hand up to volunteer, more structure. So if there's someone that you value, like you actually do want to maintain a connection with someone, you could say something like, I've felt some distance lately, are we all good? And you can watch the response, like squirming or whatever. A healthy response is direct and caring and clarifying. An unhealthy response is being defensive, blame, confusing, mocking, right? Just making fun of the whole thing. Sometimes you just fade apart from somebody. It doesn't mean that there's something terribly wrong or whatever. You're just not willing to, you know, you're doing your thing, so you're not willing to hang out all the time or whatever it is. And you're allowed to also make those decisions without being labeled anything either, okay? So enforce your boundaries without emotion. So I'm not available for that. I'm not available. No essay, no debate, no rewording it. I'm not available for that. It's still a no for me. That one keeps coming up, doesn't it? Right, so step 6, choose alignment over history. So history is not a contract. It doesn't matter how long you've known somebody, right? Alignment is the contract. When you go into your space, okay, you're understanding that when you're in a place of strength and sovereignty, peace and calm, a regulated nervous system, then and only then, once you've put up your firewall, your mirror wall protection, only then should you really be feeling the energy or getting the messages or reading the signals, all right? Otherwise, what can end up happening is that you're misinterpreting because you're misfiring yourself, right? You're misfiring yourself. Alignment is the contract. Okay. So put your hand on your sternum and say, my time is sacred. My energy is not public. Only aligned presence remains. All projections return neutralized. Imagine this thin gold line around your body, clean, bright, and calm. It isn't aggressive, it's just containment, containing your energy field. Right, so some signs that you are past all of this and you're into your flame era. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. They're argumentative. They always try to draw you into something by saying something cutting to you, knowing that you're going to react to that. So you stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding. It's not worth it. You feel calm after setting a boundary. You feel relieved, whereas in the past you might have felt guilty if you said no, and then you're like, well, I better explain that a little bit long. No more. You choose to have fewer connections or relationships or friendships or whatever, but the ones that you have are high quality, meaning it doesn't matter how long it is between ringing each other. It doesn't matter how long it's been since you've talked. You can pick up where you left off. There's an understanding. There is support for you when there's good news. And the same, like vice versa. You're on the same wavelength. You're doing the work. You're showing up. But then there are times when you're doing your own thing as well, and that's okay. So not all the time when someone goes quiet does it have to actually mean anything. But a simple, are you okay? Is everything good? Is nice, if someone does that for you, or you do that for others as well. Otherwise, there tends to become a bigger disconnect that starts happening. But as I said to you, you have fewer friendships, but they're close. There's no drama. There's no issues. There's no sarcasm. There's no, oh, I'm just joking but making fun of you. None of that. You stop chasing, this reciprocal energy. You're not chasing it. You just require that. Someone's on the same page as you. Doesn't have to be the same energy, the same direction, the same everything. But the energy of it is on the same path. You require that now. There is no more fixing people's dramas, issues, problems. I can tell also where I used to overgive so much, because every now and then I'll get someone from years and years and years ago coming back in asking me to do something that I was doing years and years and years ago, when they clearly have the means to do it themselves. But they are used to me going, okay, here you go. Here, let me help. I'll do it for you. So now that just gets ignored, right? But I can see where I was like, oh, it was frustrating to have to do it all. But I also wanted things to be done properly, or giving them the right information, right? So I wanted to be able to help. So this would outweigh my own time for myself and my own boundaries, right? Everyone else used to come first, in other words. So your intuition also becomes simpler. It's just one step. It's not this big, massive procedure. It's one step, and your life gets quieter and results get louder. It starts to be seen on the outside, okay? So the goal isn't to identify with this, okay, this person dislikes you. That's not what I'm saying. The goal is to stop needing everyone to like you in order to stay in your own power, to stay regulated, sovereign, and strong. You don't fight distortion. You don't fight people, their viewpoint, their distorted viewpoints, right? You just don't fight this. You stop feeding that. Stop giving energy to that, right? Wherever you stop giving energy to, it starves out. It takes care of itself. If you want deeper flame lens teachers and practices and different things, you know where I am on Patreon as well. And if you understand your biggest leak, okay, and it doesn't need to be something that you put in the comments or whatever, but you can, because it's helpful to others if you want to. So where you feel your biggest leak has been or is, or things that you're still working on, and the new standard practice for yourself. You're going to stop chasing, stop needing validation, stop caring whether everybody agrees or not, and just give the message. Everything's about the message, the standard, the life that you want to have, and the ways to strengthen the life that you want or weaken the life that you want. And I'm pretty sure that most of us who are listening have had a life of, we're going forward, we're stepping back. We're going forward, we're stepping back. And we've been wavering like this for ages, trying to figure it all out, get the message, receive the information, get knocked up. Oh, the angels are coming in. They're going to knock us over the head, and everything changes in the room. And everything starts to brighten up. We're not waiting for miracles. We're creating these miracles. We're understanding ourselves on a different level that is actually the oldest part of who we are. And we're bringing it back to the front, right? The ones that were always just tossed to the wayside are the ones that are going to charge with this information. Life changes. You look different. Your body responds. Everything that you've been wanting starts to happen because you stop giving all and feeding all the things that you don't like. And at the same time, if someone doesn't like you, as I said, there'll be a cluster of events usually. If someone doesn't like you, you simply don't feed it. You don't care. You cut the access, right? You don't just keep on letting something sieve out of you constantly. And then you're saying to yourself, well, nothing's really happening to me, because you still got hanger-oners that don't give a crap about anything but themselves, right? So, as we go through these things, we don't need proof. We're looking at patterns. Pattern recognition is how you start to understand how to see timelines. If your warmth depends on someone's smallness, okay? If someone else's warmth depends on your smallness, let me put it this way, it's not love. A clean boundary is a kindness to your nervous system, okay? This is probably one of the most powerful segments, and as I develop stronger courses and things, they are going to have a psychological, this is what you have been doing and this is how we fix it kind of energy to it. Because through all of my work of working with people on different therapies, okay, I've always taken a psychological approach to how I'm healing and helping someone to heal. Because unless you know all the shit that you do, you will just keep right on doing it, right? So I decided that I would instead show you all what those things are bit by bit, and the PTSD reactions and all of these different things, and that we no longer have to sit there saying, well, I've got PTSD, I've got anxiety, I've got depression, No more do we own any of the things that we don't actually want. And instead we start seeing that there is a possibility, even just a possibility. If you just have it in your mind that there is a possibility that you could actually be healed, right? Restored, okay? By owning all of the little things that you do to keep yourself dysregulated. And if you could actually just have that little vision of yourself in wellness, in groundedness, in strength, that you might still have all these people going, oh, but you're not, but you're different, but you're, you might have all of that, okay? But you simply don't care. And you continue to move forward fearlessly. If you can just have it in your mind that you could have absolute freedom in your life, okay, it will start opening for you, but you have to do the work here. Okay, there's no magic wand to your restoration. It is all about calling yourself out and stopping it. Stop the old, open yourself up to the ancient, right? Stop giving your power away, take it back from all directions of time and space. Really be honest with yourself here. I really want my life to change. Well, it is going to require doing some journaling, working out your responses, looking at the different types of patterns that you have and why. And then you can understand how to fix those things and bring yourself into stability, and all that's encoded inside of you, all that you're looking for, finally has a chance to breathe. Therefore, you will start seeing those things in your reality very, very quickly. Okay, so I hope that this was a helpful video for you, and you're understanding your biggest leak and your new standard, what you're going to do every time that starts happening. Yes, you can overcome. Yes, you can restore. Yes, you can be all that you want to be. I am here to help in any way, okay? But you're actually doing the work to open and lift this, okay? And it's always a choice, all right? Okay, so I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in the next video. See you on the 31st of January, and then we keep going into webinars each month. Become a patron. Don't miss out on those things. And I will see you real soon. Okay, bye for now.